super excited. So welcome, Rebecca. This is Rebecca Wagner. If you haven't met her yet, she is an amazing, amazing resource. And I've invited her here to talk about the most powerful way to eliminate aches and pains permanently. And I think one of the things that is really, really cool, just about some of the discussions that we're going to have is Rebecca and I were chatting a while ago, right? We were on a conversation, we were having a phone call a little while ago, and you started getting into this anatomy discussion. And I think it was really great because it reminded me of the power of really, truly understanding what happens in the anatomy in order to make changes. And so you're a registered, oh, we lost her. Oh my goodness. We lost Rebecca. Okay, well, for those of you that don't know her, Rebecca is a registered massage therapist. I hope we get her back. And she is, where did she go? I hope she pops on again. But Rebecca's a registered massage therapist. And so she's had her hands literally on people's bodies, and she works with people's bodies. And she can feel what is happening, right? Both on a physical level. And she really started to discover that as she was massaging people, as she was giving people massages, she noticed that a lot of their emotional discomfort and a lot of their emotional pain was actually manifesting through their body. And I think this is something that is really, really key to understand, because sometimes we think we're like, oh, achoo, I'm sneezing just for whatever reason. It must be the dust. Or we get a cold, right? We get some kind of physical illness, or we might get the flu, or something might happen to us physically. We hurt our backs. Like I rolled down the stairs and hurt my ankle one day. And so when these things happen, right? When these things happen, it's really, really, it's often linked to something else going on in your life, right? Whether it's an emotional discomfort, whether it's a spiritual discomfort, but something in the thinking, right? Something in the thoughts, something in the feelings, something in your energetic world is often leading to these physical discomforts. And I know for me, I lost my voice about a year ago, right as I was about to teach a training. And this is a training that I was pretty highly uncomfortable teaching at that particular point in time. And there we go, we got Rebecca back. And so I lost my voice, and it was also related to some other things I had going on personally. Like I said, I walked down the stairs, I rolled my ankle. All of a sudden, I look up the other meaning of everything, and I was just like, holy moly, this stuff really does stem from something else. The physical manifestations in our world never happen as a result of just something physical. And so, Rebecca, maybe we can, we're going to turn it over to you now that we've got you back. So one of the things I love about Rebecca is because she's got a massage background, right? She actually feels the physical aspects of this. And she also, because of this, she started delving into the more emotional and all these other hoo-ha spiritual things, right? Initially, I thought it was crazy until I looked into it, and I'm like, this stuff is real. But that led you to go on a journey to really start to understand these, the deeper side of the physical manifestation. And so you're also a NLP results coach. You work in a very deep capacity with the unconscious mind, and that really started to bring some answers for you. And I think you are able to do this within your life and have such clarity when it comes to the physical body. And I love that, because you're an incredible dreamer. You're a busy mom, right? You got a lot going on all the time. But whenever it comes to something physical, you're always like so crystal clear on, yeah, I know where this is coming from. Like you have this intuitive sense because you work with your hands, and you're always genuinely curious to figure it out. If you don't have the answer, you go find it. So maybe let's just rewind a little bit and tell people what first got you into the world of massage therapy.
So I originally started right out of high school, actually. And I've always loved the body, and I really wanted to find a way to be able to work with the body. So grade 12, and I decide I want to do nursing. And so I do the whole applications. I go look at the schools, and there was just something that just didn't sit right with me about doing the nursing. So then I went and talked to the guidance counselor, and she's like, well, what do you like to do? And I'm like, well, I like to work with people, and I like to work with the body. And it was funny because she's like, well, what about massage therapy? I'm like, massage therapy? What's that? I had an idea, yet I'd never explored that realm before. So she's like, okay, go take a look at it and then come back to me. And I'm like, okay. So I go, I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. This is what I want to do. And I'm like, but I only want to apply to one school. And she's like, you can't just apply to one school. I'm like, well, I'm going to. I'll put the other ones on because you want me to. And if I get accepted, then it was meant to be. If I don't, then it's not meant to be. So I applied to the one school, number one, and then the other 3 or 4, whatever. And within a week, I was accepted to that school. So I'm like, okay, it's meant to be. Yeah. And so it's just been a journey where year after year, treatment after treatment, client after client, I love the massage therapy, and like it just keeps growing, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So, and I love how even back then you knew as soon as you found what you wanted, you hung on to it, but you didn't let someone else's vision hinder your dream. You right. made a decision. You're like, I'm going here. This is the way it's going to work. And even back then you like literally started to manifest it. So you're a great manifester. You're like, poof, get something. And so what made you start to make that link between the emotional and the other stuff in people's lives and physical pain, right? What got you really curious about that link?
So it started pretty much with myself, because you have to heal yourself before you can heal others. Mm-hmm. And I was in a very toxic relationship, and I had gone and seen a naturopath, and she does something called auricular therapy. So it's very energetic. And I was like, this is really cool. So going to see her, and that's where I first had my dive into the energies. And I was like, okay, I am going to one day do this, because it healed me so well. Like I was able to leave that relationship and like just be happy with myself. So I knew that I wanted to somehow be into the energies myself somehow. So then as the years go on and I'm treating patients, I would be working on a muscle and I'd hear the stories that, like, for instance, like a shoulder, and they just tell me the story and they're like, I don't even know why I just told you that. I've never even told my wife that before. And I'm like, that's because the emotion was stuck in the muscle. We released the muscle and the story just came out. So I knew that it was happening over and over again. I'm like, okay, this is the connection. I'm like, if I want to heal the body better, then it has to start in the mind. It has to start mentally. Release those emotions first. And the body will be able to relax and release so much easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I like how you explain, like, the emotion was stuck in the muscle, the story was stuck in the muscle, and sometimes we don't necessarily think of that, but so often we all have the potential for disease and for discomfort and for things to manifest, but whether it actually manifests or we exacerbate it will depend on, do we want to choose to play into that story or not?
Yeah.
Right. And so often we don't design our lives. We just react to our lives. We're like, oh, well, This is just how it is. Well, this is how I grew up. These are the skills I have. Oh, well, everyone does it this way. And we accept that for our reality. Whereas here, when you sort of scale back and you start choosing the better thoughts, you start choosing a better way of bringing yourself to your life, you can start decreasing the pain or eliminating the pain. And I think, I guess, would you agree that really getting to the root cause of these emotional challenges or issues that people have, that is essentially like the one way you can eliminate pain or disease permanently?
I would say absolutely, because I've seen it firsthand, multiple occasions.
Yeah, because you can go through a physical treatment, but if you still have the thoughts, it comes back, right?
Yeah.
You've got to get rid of it way up in the mind before you can fix the physical. And so What are a couple of other really cool things that you've observed along your journey, really linking the mind and the body?
So another one, it was a patient I've been working with recently, and she's been doing all the things: chiropractor, acupuncture, massage, and trying to get this shoulder. Let's do this one because you can see it. And she can only get her shoulder to about here. So like usually shoulder should be able to go all the way up. And we got talking one day as I had her on the table, and we just got chatting about her life and whatever. And then she couldn't really pinpoint when the pains happened. And then we got talking about a previous old relationship that she was in. She's like, oh yeah. She's like, I've had this pain probably for about 8 to 10 years. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, when did you leave that relationship? She's like, oh my God. She's like, it was about 8 to 10 years ago. So I'm like, you're still carrying the weight of that ex literally on your shoulders. Once we are able to release this person from you, because if you're thinking about them, then they're still in your energetic field. They're still with you, even if you're thinking negative things about them. So it's like, once you can release this person, your shoulder will be able to go from here and it'll be able to go up here, no problem. And they have to be willing and ready to release it, though. That's the main important thing too.
Yeah. And I think that's with anything, right? You've got to be willing to do it, and you've got to be able to do it. Like, you are able to do it, but when you're willing to do it, you are willing to take the steps. Sometimes they're uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it might be a feeling of vulnerability. Sometimes we hold, one of the things I love from the body of work that we do is, like, we all have secondary gain.
Of course.
So even though we have pain, secondary gain is a concept that sometimes the uncomfortable things that we have, or the things that we don't like in our lives, we actually get benefit from, right? And that is, it's almost a backwards way of thinking, but the benefits we get out of being in pain keep us in pain.
100%.
And it sucks. And it's so true, right? It really
so
does.
True.
So one of the things, so after having a few great conversations with you, I was putting on a workshop that I had run with Patrick Lundeen, and he's a actor and a voice trainer. And so after having that experience working with him, we were initially working on some training for me. I was shooting some videos and I felt really inauthentic. And I was just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm just like reading a paper and just reading this script. And I felt like yucky, it was horrible. And so I reached out to Patrick. I'm like, I need you to do some voice training with me. And so we started working, and he did some great physical exercises to loosen my voice. And then he actually started talking about the emotional connection, even like how vowels can hold emotion. And so we got down to the point of like literally articulating every single word and really making that mind-body connection. And so I invited him back to do another workshop for some clients, and I've opened it up to a few others as well. It's going to be really intimate. It's going to be fantastic. But we invited you to come on board because you can make that physical link. And I think just from my background in movement, whenever I understood the physical anatomy behind something, or excuse me, speaking of which, there goes my voice. Whenever I could make that create that physical picture in my mind, it always helped me do what I was doing better. It always helped me understand the path I had to energetically clear. It always helped me bring myself into a deeper level of awareness. And so that's why we invited you to join this workshop. So the three of us are presenting this workshop. It's going to be 3 hours. It's going to be a fantastic experience. And so you'll be sharing sort of the anatomical portion, and we'll all be pitching and catching on how the body and the mind are connected. And I think that's going to be beautiful. Patrick is going to do some super fun exercises with us, and it's going to be so, so powerful, because when we master and gain control and command of our voice, got to be doing the exercises. It's the first time it's happened. I have not coughed like this since like a year ago when I lost.
Something's blocking you right now.
Oh my goodness!
Talking about this,
something is totally blocking me. There we go. I'm tearing up. Please all send me love. So yeah, so it's going to be a fun workshop. And we are inviting you guys to attend. Maybe, I think, Megan, if you could pop a link in the comments, just in case people want to check it out. Maybe, Rebecca, why don't you talk a little bit about it about what you're looking forward to from it?
From the workshop?
Yeah.
So the workshop is going to be, like Larissa said, with the voice and how to really free your voice from you. And we all have our different parts in it. So my part's going to be to literally talk about what muscles are affected with the breathing, because it's more than just what you think about. Like when I tell people I went to school for 3 years studying massage, they're shocked. Like you don't realize how many muscles and how many bones are in the body. And I need to know exactly where every single muscle connects to every single bone, the organs, the nerve system, the veins, the arteries. I need to know everything. So it's going to be really cool because with this workshop, I'm going to be able to kind of do like a layman's terms of what muscles you really want to focus on, maybe what muscles you want to stretch a little bit more, or maybe sometimes it's the muscles are weak and they need to be strengthened. So there's going to be so much more to it than just explaining the voice and how it works kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think it's so much fun. Like you really do gain a level of awareness when you actually put it into real life. Yeah. And so if anyone has any questions for Rebecca, please put them in the chat, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere else. I have a question. How do you avoid back muscles being pulled? So someone's got back muscles are being pulled or often getting stuck, especially lifting weights or doing something where there is some kind of strong struggle. So do you have any comments on that?
So if your back muscles are being pulled, it could possibly be because the front ones aren't carrying their load. So maybe the front ones are weak. So if the front muscles are weak and you're trying to strengthen those back ones and the front ones aren't able to do their job, then you are essentially going to pull the back ones because it's a team effort. Your body works as one. So if one area is out, then how you do anything is how you do everything. So if one area is out of the body, then another part's going to be out too. So maybe focus or look at a different part of what you're actually working on.
Yeah. And I think like mechanically, like we want to start balancing the body essentially, right? Just like we balance our mind. So if you're overworking and overstressing one part, you want to focus on look at the balance in your life and where you're carrying too much load energetically as well. Right? So mechanically, you want to address both things. You want to address the mechanical issue. You also want to address the spiritual. So where else are you carrying more tension? One of my favorite books. Oh, here it is. I always have a plethora of books on my desk. One of my favorite books, this is Louise Hay's, You Can Heal Your Life. And I think this is like a fun reference guide to just to any kind of issue. Like she's got this spiritual meaning of pretty much every challenge that you could have, but your middle back, the back problems that you have, your middle back, that's guilt being stuck in all stuff that is back there. It's like, get off my back. So that might be also something to explore, right? Like look at the energetic sense of where are you holding guilt from? Explore that, because that guilt is causing an imbalance physically in your life. So that's going to be the kind of stuff that we're going to tune into and really tap into, but specifically for the voice, it's going to be lots and lots of fun. So if anyone wants to learn more about what Rebecca does, either from a, if you're in the area where you live in,
I'm located in Keswick, which if you are in Toronto, it's pretty much all the way up to 404. It used to go to Newmarket, and now goes all the way to Keswick.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a drive. Toronto. So if you're in the area and you want to reach out to Rebecca for a session, then definitely reach out to her. She's pretty much on all the social platforms.
Yeah.
So DM her. Or if you're curious to learn more about how she can help, like any physical things that you have going on from a coaching or mindset perspective, then she does work as a coach as well. Yes. And I think that is because she understands the body and physically where those things are coming from. She can really, really help you, even if you're not in the local area. Like, she can do sessions through Zoom, and you can explain what's going on as part of the sessions that you work with, and go from there.
Yeah, deep dive into, say you have a shoulder issue. Well, if you're too far away and can't come see me for a physical massage, then yeah, we could totally do a Zoom session and talk through it and see what is the mental, what is the emotional effects that are affecting the shoulder from being able to have its full range of motion.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. You will be shocked.
It's
Definitely.
pretty cool. I must say, the things I hear sometimes, it's like, they're like, wow, I had no idea.
No, if you think it's it never is. It never is.
So
if anyone else wants to get a hold of you, direct message, is that the best way, or is there somewhere else that they should reach out to?
I would say direct message on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn, not so much. Usually Facebook, Instagram are my main things. I do have a website, www.wholefromwithinyou.com. You can reach out there as well.
Okay.
Yeah, whichever way is the best way you feel.
We'll pop that in the comments and pop that in the chat. And yeah, definitely reach out to us. Join the workshop, because I think you're going to have a lot of fun and learn a lot from Rebecca. It is going to be Saturday, November 14th from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And we got one more question before we wrap up. What does letting go usually consist of? Are there any practices you would suggest?
Well, I would say number one would be like meditating. And even if you've never meditated, in the sense of just sitting there and really thinking about, like, we'll use the shoulder still. Why is my shoulder sore? And then really think about deeper levels of like what's going on in your life. Maybe what's going on the last year. Maybe what's going on the last 2 years, 5. Like, what are big things maybe that would be affecting the body and how it is today?
Yeah. And I think this is something like, often we have a certain level of awareness. Like, we are really aware of our immediate physical world because we live in it. And sometimes if you're not in the practice of asking yourself questions or really strategically journaling, right? You can just grab a journal and bitch and complain. Yeah. Or you can be productive with your journaling. And if you're not in the habit of doing that, or if you're not in the practice of doing that, then it's really great to have even a conversation or do an intake session with a coach, like with someone like me or with someone like Rebecca, because we can actually ask you questions that will blow your mind and help you uncover things you didn't even know you had in you. So if that's not a practice you're into and something that you need more help with, like, we could even do one session to help you delve into that and help you explore that. Because I think really asking yourself good questions and answering them is so key to really being able to let go of that. I think practices of forgiveness are also good. And if you can get into that yourself, fantastic. If it's too complicated for you, get some help, right? I know for myself, gratitude, forgiveness, those things did not come naturally to me. I had to really work and practice them. And I got a lot of guidance from people. But when I did, it made a world of difference, right? It was able to release so much. And so these sound like simple concepts. They're like, oh yeah, go give gratitude. Oh yeah, go forgive yourself. Go forgive your inner child. Go do some inner child work. And it sounds simple on the surface, but then to do it, sometimes you do need some help. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Megan, but meditate, tune into yourself, pay attention to yourself. And if you want any other ideas, then give me a call. I know we talk a lot. So that is going to be it for us today. Register for the Free Your Voice workshop on November 14th from 1 to 4 with Rebecca, myself, and Patrick. If you're curious to learn more and free your voice, because clearly I know I need to be going back to some of those exercises, right? And if you want to learn more about Rebecca and specifically what she does with the body or with the mind side of things, then direct message her, reach out to her, and go from there. So you guys have yourselves a beautiful day, and we will see you soon.
Have a great day.